What if disappearing was the only way to save yourself? The world profits from your distraction, but in the silence, you finally remember who you are. Have you ever felt the heavy weight of the world pressing down so hard that your only desire was to simply vanish into thin air? In this age of constant noise, the art of disappearing is not an act of cowardice, but a strategic retreat for the sake of your soul. We are drowning in a sea of information, losing our true selves to the endless digital echoes that demand our attention every single waking second. Choosing to be alone is the ultimate weapon. It is the only way to silence the external voices and finally hear the whisper of your heart. Imagine a place where the expectations of others cannot reach you, where the labels society has forced upon you simply dissolve into the quiet mountain air. These hands have built a fortress of peace, away from the chaos of the city, where every touch of wood tells a story of patient resilience. The philosopher watches the hermit, realizing that true power lies not in being seen by everyone, but in knowing exactly who you are alone. To disappear is to go on a revolution against the status quo, refusing to be just another data point in someone else's profitable social algorithm. He speaks of an exhaustion that goes beyond the physical, a fatigue of the ego that can only be cured by the medicine of absolute silence. Like this wood being planed, our unnecessary layers must be stripped away to reveal the strong, beautiful core that has been hidden for so long. Walking the path of intentional solitude requires courage, as it means leaving behind the safety of the crowd to face the unknown parts of yourself. Drink this moment in. It is the taste of freedom from the digital chains that keep most people locked in a state of perpetual anxiety. Time works differently here, no longer measured by deadlines and notifications, but by the natural cycles of the sun and the rhythm of your breath. True liberation is found when you no longer need the validation of 1,000 strangers to feel that your existence is meaningful and worthy. Every ring in this wood represents a year of survival, much like the scars of our past that we finally learn to appreciate in solitude. The hermit explains that he didn't run away from life. He ran toward it, stripping away the noise to finally touch the essence of reality. Even in the smallest corners of this quiet space, there is a complex beauty that we usually ignore when we are too busy being busy. Silence is not empty. It is full of answers for those who are brave enough to sit still and listen to what the stillness has to say. When you stop stirring the water, the sediment falls, and the clarity you have been searching for finally emerges from the depths of your mind. Nature is the ultimate mirror, showing us that change is constant and that there is a time for everything, including a time to be invisible. He realizes that the world's version of success is often just a loud distraction from the much harder work of building an authentic inner life. This door marks the boundary between the chaos of the masses and the sacred ground of the individual who has chosen to walk alone. Welcome to the matrix of overload, where millions of souls move in unison yet remain completely disconnected from themselves and the world around them. We are hooked on a digital drug, scrolling through a never-ending feed of voices that are not our own, drowning out our very own intuition. The information age has become the age of distraction, where our focus is a commodity bought and sold by corporations that profit from our unrest. Loneliness in a crowd is the most painful kind of isolation, a side effect of living in a world that values connectivity over real connection. Our brains were not designed to process this much data, this much comparison, and this much performative living every single minute of every day. We have become cogs in a machine of noise, producing and consuming content that leaves us feeling hollow and perpetually behind in some invisible race. The storms of modern life are relentless, and without a place of refuge, our mental health is slowly eroded by the constant, freezing downpour of data. He explains how we lose the ability to think deeply when we are constantly interrupted by the trivial demands of our various digital devices and platforms. Our sense of self is fragmented, split between who we really are and the curated versions of ourselves we present to the world for likes. There is a quiet desperation in the modern heart, a scream for silence that is often suppressed by even more noise, more media, and more distraction. This is where our attention goes to die, processed by algorithms designed to keep us scrolling and searching for something we will never find online. We forget to live in the physical world, ignoring the warmth of our coffee and the air on our skin for the sake of pixels, a world of zombies, connected to the internet but completely disconnected from the humanity of the person walking right next to them on the sidewalk. We must break the cycle, he argues, or we will find ourselves reaching the end of our lives without ever having truly lived for ourselves. The loneliness of the night is often when the truth hits hardest, revealing the shallow nature of our so-called connected lives in the digital age. The first step to disappearing is to cut the cords, to stop feeding the machine that consumes your time, your energy, and your very sense of self. From out here, the city looks like a dream, but inside it's a nightmare of overload that we have all been conditioned to accept as normal. He speaks of the need to reclaim our attention, to take back the most valuable resource we have before it is completely drained by the digital matrix. The boundary between the real and the virtual is disappearing, and in that blurring, we are losing our ability to distinguish truth from manufactured fiction. We are being homogenized, turned into a mass of predictable consumers who think the same thoughts and buy the same things because we are told to. Our bodies are in a state of constant alarm, reacting to every headline and notification as if it were a life-threatening predator in the dark woods. This is the prison of the modern mind, a cage of light and data where we voluntarily lock ourselves in search of a false sense of security. The hermit speaks of the great forgetting, where we have forgotten how to be still, how to be quiet, and how to just exist without purpose. We chase the latest things, only for them to become trash, much like the shallow thoughts we consume every day that provide no lasting nourishment for us. A single act of withdrawal can ripple through your entire life, clearing the water and allowing you to see the depths that were previously hidden from you. Here, in this sanctuary of wood and shadow, the matrix cannot find you. This is where the real work of rediscovering your true self finally begins. Ghost mode is not about hiding, it's about becoming intentional. It's the strategic decision to go dark to the world so you can find light. When you enter ghost mode, you stop providing updates to a world that doesn't truly care about your growth, only about your performance and social utility. The sea doesn't ask for your opinion, and it doesn't need your approval. In its presence, you realize how small and yet how significant you are. This is the breath of a free man, one who has stopped running from himself and has finally learned to stand still in his own presence. Solitude is the filter that removes the impurities of social influence, leaving behind the solid structure of your own unique and authentic character and values. To be like this tree is to be rooted in your own ground, unswayed by the passing winds of trends and the opinions of the nameless masses. The power to turn it all off is the ultimate flex in a world that is addicted to being perpetually on and always available for others. In the quiet of the night, your true thoughts finally have the space to emerge, no longer drowned out by the noise of the daylight world. Every distraction you cut out is a piece of wood removed to reveal the masterpiece within. Don't be afraid to let the old parts fall away. The path of the individual is like this stream. It finds its own way, carving a unique channel through the hard rock of societal expectations and norms. He explains that solitude is not about hating people, but about loving yourself enough to protect your peace from those who would drain your precious energy. Writing in silence is a conversation with your soul, a way to map out the territory of your inner world that no one else can ever see. The mist hides the world, but it reveals the immediate reality. Ghost mode is about focusing on what is right in front of you, right here, now. We sharpen our minds in the silence, Without the constant blunting effect of social media, our intuition becomes a razor-edge tool for navigating life's complex challenges. Building a life in solitude is a slow, careful process. It's about creating a home for your spirit that is safe from the storms of external judgment. When you work for yourself, the quality of your labor becomes a reflection of your self-respect, rather than a performance for a boss or an audience. He has found a secret that few will ever know, that being invisible to the world is the only way to become truly visible to yourself. He disappears into the landscape, not as a ghost, but as a man who is finally integrated with the natural rhythm of the world around him. There is a deep intelligence in the solitary life, a wisdom that comes from observing the world without the need to constantly participate in its madness. Letting go of the need for recognition is like this leaf falling. It is a natural process that leads to a much deeper sense of peace. In the darkness of ghost mode, the stars of your own potential finally become visible, unmasked by the artificial glare of the world's constant demands. He realizes that he has been a ghost in his own life, haunted by the opinions of others, and that it's time to finally become real. Every day spent in intentional solitude is a piece of the puzzle of your true self being put into place until the whole picture finally emerges. The door is always open for those who are ready to walk away from the noise and enter the sacred space of their own choosing and making. "Stay here," he whispers, "until you no longer feel the need to be anywhere else. That is when you know your journey has truly begun at last." The world sleeps, but in the silence of the night, the soul of the one who has chosen to disappear is wide awake and finally free. In the depths of the shadows, where no eyes are watching, we begin the grueling process of forging the iron will that will define our future. This is metallurgy in the dark. It's the silent, painful work of building a version of yourself that is stronger than any challenge the world can offer. Like steel being tempered in the fire, our character is shaped by the trials we choose to face in private, far from the applause of others. Discipline is the hammer, and your willpower is the anvil. Together, they create a spirit that cannot be broken by the shallow pressures of society. The road to rebirth is a lonely one, paved with early mornings and late nights where you are your only witness and your only coach. Beneath the surface of the world's noise, there is a quiet strength that can only be accessed when you stop gasping for the air of approval. Intellectual forge is just as important as the physical one. We must sharpen our minds with the wisdom of the ages to survive the modern chaos. Every strike is a choice. Every drop of sweat is a sacrifice. We are making a new self, one that is forged in the heat of self-discipline. Patience is a weapon. In a world that demands instant results, the person who can work slowly and meticulously in the dark has a massive advantage. While the city sleeps and others dream of success, you are awake, actually building it, brick by brick, in the sacred silence of your own life. We use the tools of the world to transcend the world. Technology becomes a servant to our growth, not a master of our precious and limited attention. The body is the first frontier. By mastering the physical, we send a message to the mind that we are no longer willing to accept any excuses. Focus is the ability to maintain your inner flame when everything around you is trying to blow it out with the wind of social media noise. The ritual of work is what saves us. It provides a structure to our days when the world outside feels like it is falling into total chaos. The darkness is not the end, it is the passage. To get to the light of the new self, you must first travel through the dark corridor. We seek out the uncomfortable because comfort is a trap that keeps us weak. In the cold, we find the heat of our own inner fire. We map out our future in the silence. Every plan made in the dark is a seed that will grow into a reality in the sun. The greatest battle is the one within. Mastering the mind in the dark is the final step in the process of spiritual and mental metallurgy. Every drop of effort is a payment to the universe, a down payment on the person you are destined to become if you just keep pushing. In the dark, we realize we are not alone. We are part of something vast. Our work is a contribution to the grand architecture of human potential. You are the raw material. You are also the blacksmith. It is up to you to decide what kind of blade you will eventually become. Be like the stone, not the wave. Let the world crash against you, and let it find you unchanged, unmoved, and perfectly at peace with your choice. The wisdom of the dead is a guide for the living. In the dark, we find the light of those who walked this path before us. This is where champions are made, not in the bright lights of the arena, but in the dark, cold corners of the world where nobody watches. The work in the dark is coming to an end. Soon, it will be time to step out into the world and show what has been made. The transition is beginning. The forge has done its work, and the new spirit is ready to face the world with a completely different kind of power. He is no longer the person who entered the darkness. He has been transformed, his ego burned away to reveal something far more durable and authentic. Every step is now taken with purpose. The ground feels different when you have walked through the fire of your own solitary and focused transformation. This is the ultimate goal of disappearing, not to hide forever, but to undergo the metamorphosis that is only possible in the quiet of the cocoon. Work in the dark, so that when you finally step into the light, you shine with a brilliance that can never be extinguished by the world. The rebirth of the ego is like the forest after a long winter. It is a slow, quiet, and inevitable return to life and true vitality. New life grows from the old. To be reborn, you must first allow your old, social media-addicted self to wither away and become the fertilizer for your future. The new ego is like this creature, alert, peaceful, and deeply connected to the present moment, no longer haunted by the ghosts of past digital interactions. They see the forest as a teacher, a living example of how to grow and thrive without the need for constant attention or validation from others. You cannot fix a broken spirit in the same environment that broke it. Rebirth requires a new soil, a new light, and a new kind of silence. A clear mind is like this lake. It reflects reality exactly as it is, without the distortions of ego, desire, or the opinions of the frantic world. Energy that was once wasted on seeking approval is now redirected into purposeful action. The reborn man is a force of nature, focused and unstoppable. He knows that the process is complete. The man who came here seeking answers has found something much more valuable. He has finally found himself. He understands that the art of disappearing is not a one-time event, but a lifelong practice of protecting his inner world from the external chaos. From this height, the problems that once seemed so large now look small and insignificant. Perspective is the ultimate gift of the solitary and reborn soul. The old story is over. The pages of the past are filled, and now it is time to write a new chapter, one defined by your own terms. They step out not as fugitives, but as masters of their own destiny, ready to re-engage with the world from a position of absolute inner strength. To live authentically is to bloom as you were meant to, without asking permission and without worrying about who is watching your unique and beautiful process. The connection between those who have walked the path of silence is deeper than any digital bond could ever hope to be in our modern world. They are no longer fighting the current, they are the current. The reborn ego moves with the world, not against it, in a state of flow. Intentional solitude is the bridge between the person you were told to be and the person you were always meant to be from the beginning. They see the world for the first time, without the veil of social comparison or the need to document every moment for the sake of an audience. This is what it means to be alive, to be present, to be free, and to be completely yourself in a world that wants you to be everyone else. It is a permanent change. Once you have seen the truth of your own soul in the silence, you can never go back to being a ghost. The day ends, but the new life is just beginning. Every sunset is a reminder that the old must die so that the new can be born. He returns to the noise, but he carries the silence within him. He is in the world, but he is no longer of the frantic digital world. Be that star. Let your inner light be the guide that you follow, regardless of how dark or noisy the world around you may eventually become. Every act of creation in solitude is a victory over the forces of distraction. It is a tangible proof of your own power to shape reality. The forest waits. The silence waits. The art of disappearing is always available to you whenever you feel the need to return to your source. He has found the ultimate treasure. He has found the peace that passes all understanding, and it is a treasure that can never be taken away. The lesson is over, but the practice continues. The path of the intentional solitary is a journey with no end, only deeper and deeper levels of peace. As we look back on the path we have traveled, we see that every moment of silence was a building block for the new person we have become. The hands that once worked in the dark have now created a masterpiece of character, a structure of the soul that can withstand any storm of life. The chaos of the world now seems like a distant echo, a shadow of a life that no longer has any power over the reborn and focused mind. We remember the spark of understanding, the moment when we realized that the world's version of success was just a loud, empty, and very distracting illusion. The old self is gone, washed away by the tides of intentional solitude and the relentless work of forging a new, much more authentic and powerful identity. We honor the fire that changed us, we honor the pain of growth, for without it, we would still be the same hollow echoes of others' expectations. From the ashes of the ego, the spirit rises. We are like the forest, always capable of starting over, always capable of finding a new way to grow. The journey of 1,200 seconds is coming to an end. But for you, the viewer, the real journey into the silence is only just beginning right now. Solitude is not a punishment. It is a rare privilege, a gift you give yourself to rediscover the magic that has been buried under the world's noise. You are ready. You have the tools, you have the map, and you have the silence. The only thing left to do is to finally let go. The universe is a vast, quiet place. When you are silent, you are finally in sync with the heartbeat of the entire cosmos and all its wonders. He is no longer afraid of the dark. He has made friends with the shadows, and he knows that the light within him is enough to guide him home. Listen. Can you hear it? The sound of your own soul finally speaking to you now that the rest of the world has finally been turned off. In the small, we find the great. In the quiet, we find the loud. In the solitude, we find the connection that we have been seeking all along. He remains a guardian of the silence, a reminder to us all that the best things in life cannot be seen, they can only be felt in the soul. The art of disappearing is the art of returning to the beginning, to the raw, unfiltered experience of being alive before the world told you what it was. Do not be afraid to vanish. Do not be afraid to be forgotten by the crowd, for in that disappearance you will finally find the one who truly matters. Disappear from the noise, disappear from the lies, disappear from the expectations that have been strangling your spirit and keeping you from being your best self. And then, when you are ready, reappear as someone new, reappear as someone whole, reappear as the person you were always meant to be from the start. Farewell for now. We will meet again when you have returned from the silence.